All right, in this video what we're going to do is we're going to clean up our motor. Not something I'm going to tell you have to do every race weekend, but definitely something you're going to want to do regularly enough just so that dirt and grime isn't caking up on this thing. Just like I always say, you're going to find a lot of your problems while you're cleaning. So nothing fancy here. We're just going to take off our chain guard, we'll take off the top plate, heat shield, recoil starter, we'll pull off our side cover here, give everything a quick spray down and put it back together and we should be good to go. So we'll start with our chain guard here. See, look at that. That's just one race weekend worth of chain lube and grime that we're definitely going to want to get cleaned off of here. And I just use a simple degreaser. This stuff says it's safe on plastics, painted surfaces. So we'll just spray this out. Get all this old chain lube out of here. So this is our fuel pump, and what you'll notice here is I've actually got some high temperature sealant that we put over this hole right here. What that is it's like a breather hole, and if you don't seal that up, you're gonna have oil that comes spitting out of there, and all it does is make a mess. When we first started, someone recommended that we plug that up, and I was under the impression, you know, they obviously designed it with that breather hole for a reason, so I decided not to plug it up. And I was constantly just dealing with oil and everything all over the top of this engine. So I finally just decided to plug it up, and I've noticed zero difference in the performance of our engine with that plugged up. So I'd recommend you go ahead and plug that up just to save yourself a bunch of cleaning later on. And once you get this top plate off, you're going to need to be careful. There's going to be some electrical connections to your kill switch. You'll just want to disconnect those. Just like so. And obviously cleaning your engine's not going to make you go faster. It's just going to help when you have issues that you either identify them before they become issues, and it helps making things easier when you do have to work on stuff. You're not digging through a bunch of grease to get to all your bolts. Show you what I'm doing over here. I'm just removing the recoil starter. And when you first do this, you're probably going to want to keep track of what bolts you're pulling off where. I've done it so many times that I know where I'm going to need to put them back. But definitely, if this is your first time, definitely keep track of your bolts, which ones you pulled out of where. Okay, that's as far as I'm gonna tear this thing down just for this routine cleaning. We'll go ahead and clean up some of our parts here. Alright, let's clean this engine off. And I mean, as you can see, I mean, we've got tons of chain lube and stuff in here that you're gonna wanna get cleaned off. And one thing you'll want to keep an eye on, there's actually an O-ring that goes in here around your crank. I've had one of those decide it wanted to back off a little bit and started leaking oil, and that oil started getting into our clutch. And we were running our clutch outboard, so all that oil was getting in and getting all over our shoes. And it actually took us a minute to figure out what it was, where it was coming from, but got that O-ring replaced and we were good to go. And I understand pulling your engine off and cleaning it takes a bunch of time. It's not necessarily the funnest task involved with kart racing, but your equipment's gonna last a lot longer when you take care of it. And especially if after a rain race, if you run a rain race, I highly suggest you basically tear your kart down to the chassis and clean every last bit of everything you got. But if you've just been running in the dry and haven't had any big offs, you could probably do this every 3 races and get away with it. Let's get some air and blow out some of these crevices. All right, that's basically it. So we can go ahead and put this thing back together real quick. You'll want to go with your heat shield first. Okay, it just sits on there like so. And this screw right here is real easy to strip out. Be honest with you, I stripped mine out, so I actually had to find a little larger screw to go in here. Like most everything, get it started by hand before you start tanking things down. Drop our side cover back on. And this little notch right here, you'll see this little notch, it's gonna actually rest and hold your side cover. And I like to get this top bolt in first. All right, let's go ahead and get our flywheel back on. And a word of warning, if you do pull this screw out, there's a coil in here that's gonna jump out at you, and it is absolutely no fun to get back in. So I go ahead and just leave this put together, just clean it up a little bit, and you should be good to go. Let's get our top plate back on. Make sure you go ahead and hook back up your kill switch. And this bolt over here I actually leave loose because we have a little loop that we put our throttle cable through. And what I've done is I've gone to my local hardware store and I've got these little 3/4 inch spacers. You're actually allowed to prop your fuel pump 3/4 of an inch off the top of this deck. The reason why I do it is because the top plate here will get real hot while the engine's running, and it helps keep your fuel from getting so hot as it's running into the motor or into your carburetor. And these 2 bolts that hold the fuel pump, I just do hand tight. Go ahead and tighten up our exhaust support. Get our chain guard back on. All right, guys, and that's it. And like I said, definitely not something you're gonna need to do every race weekend, but you're gonna wanna do it enough to where your motor's clean and you're not digging through dirt and grime when you do have to service your motor. Just makes things easier, and plus it makes your motor look good, so no one complains about that. But yeah, definitely put this into your maintenance plan and make sure you're taking care of your equipment.